Thank you very much for listening to this week's share on the Sedra of Bechukotai, which is the final Sedra in the book of Vayikra. And please God, we will say when we have finished reading it, Chazak, Chazak, Benis, Chazek, may we be strong, and may we strengthen ourselves. And really, it is something that fits so completely with the theme of the talk this week, that by learning and immersing ourselves in the Torah, that's how we strengthen ourselves, whatever is going on, whatever challenges we're facing. This is how we draw on the wellspring of eternal strength and inspiration, and this is how, especially in times of challenge, but always, we are able to keep our compass and our rudder and our anchor, and really we are able to navigate the stormy seas, the calm seas. This is our life, and this is our mainstay. And we're dedicating this learning for the speedy and safe release of all of the hostages in Gaza, and the speedy and the success and safety, security of all of the soldiers in the IDF, as they are working so hard, putting their lives on the line to protect Am Yisrael, the people of Israel in the land of Israel and beyond. And please God that our learning and all the mitzvot that we are doing should really be accruing merits, so that our prayers in all these regards are answered. And the idea that I want to develop, that is expressed so eloquently in this week's Sedra, is understanding what our ultimate security is. And I think that the challenges that we are facing really make the reading these words so very relevant and pertinent, and really just give us the rock of stability to hold on to, that Hashem is, within the words of the eternal, immortal Torah, telling us what we so desperately need to hear. And if we go to the beginning of the Sedra of Bechukotai, which is chapter 26 of Vayikra of Leviticus, and it starts at Pasuk 3. In Bechukotai telechu, if you will go, literally walk, in my decrees, mitzvosai tishmeru, and observe my commandments, v'asisem osom, and perform them. V'nosati gishmechem be'etom, and I will provide your rains in their time. V'nosna ha'aretz yuvula, and the land will give its produce. V'etz hasodeh yitain pirio, and the tree of the field will give its fruit. And then chapter Pasuk 5 continues, V'hisik lachem daesh es botzer, or botzer yasik esera. Threshing will overtake vintage for you, and the vintage will last until sowing. V'achaltem lachmechem losova, you will eat your bread to satisfaction. V'yishavtem lovetach ba'artzachem, and you will dwell securely in your land. And this opens the section of this week's Sedra referred to as the brachos, the blessings. And these blessings take up the first 13 Pesukim. And then from Pasuk 14 through to Pasuk 42, we have what are variously termed as the klolos, which translates as curses, or the tochacha, which translates as rebuke. And these make very spine-chilling reading verses, as the consequences of failure to observe the mitzvahs are spelled out in terms of the exile of the people of Israel from the land of Israel, and the horrific suffering that accompanies the exile and the persecution when we are not in our land serving Hashem as the Torah mandates. And as we look through these psukim from verse 14 through to verse 42, and I've often felt as I've read them that if I read history books about what has happened to the Jewish people, I could take that right back to the predictions, to the words of the Torah, that we have lived either in our own time, or we have we know that have happened to us, the things that have happened to us during our history. And so when we are told at the beginning of these blessings, then it's almost it's an imponderable. Why on earth wouldn't we want to achieve wouldn't we want to do the requirements that will enable us to have the benefit of these beautiful blessings, the few words that I read out just now about the plenty and the fact that we will dwell securely and safely in our land. And that is something that surely we all want to do. Yet the Yetzer Hara, the will, the temptation to do things that are not according to the Torah, this is something that is a perennial challenge. And although it sounds simple that we should just follow the words of the Torah and then we will achieve these blessings, anything that's simple is not necessarily easy. And I think that this is certainly the case here. But if we look at a comment of Rashi on those opening words, that is the question Rashi points out that we're already told, if you go in my decrees, if you follow my decrees, so if we understand it in that sense. And then there's the phrase, Es mitzvosai tishmaru, and you observe my mitzvahs. So what does that second phrase of observing my mitzvahs add? So Rashi comments on this. Right. One Yochel Zekiyom HaMitzvos, one might be able to think that this refers to the fulfillment of the commandments. Kushehu Omer, when it says, Ve'es mitzvosai tishmoru, and observe my commandments, Ve'asisem osam, and perform them. Hare kiyom hamitzvos omor. That is, it's already been stated. Ha ma'ani makayim, what then do I maintain is meant by im bechukosai telechu, if you will go in my decrees. Shetihu amelim baTorah, that you should be laboring in the Torah. So the fact that Hashem is telling us that we need to do the mitzvahs and perform the mitzvahs, that the first phrase, in Bechukosai Telechu, must be referring to something else. And Rashi understands it as working hard, toiling, literally, to perform the mitzvahs, to learn in Amelim b'Torah, toiling in Torah study. And I think that when we look at this year, we are reading the Sedra with Lag BaOmer having passed recently, and we are going towards Shavuos, which is the festival. It's an agricultural festival that's we bring the first fruits, but it is the festival that we commemorate the Matan Torah, the experience at Sinai, Mount Sinai, receiving the Torah. And so, as we are reading the words in this week's Sedra, and Rashi is saying that we need to toil in Torah, it is that effort and that exertion that we put in our Torah learning that gives us the pathway. And we're told, B'chukosai telechu, we are walking along a path. It gives us a pathway to the beautiful blessings. And really, the blessings themselves are stage one, but it's managing to enjoy the blessings without being distracted, without becoming complacent, without losing the knowledge that everything is coming from Hashem, and acknowledging that. And that is so crucial, because very often when things are going well and smoothly, sometimes people forget. They might get a bit lazy, and there's a famous parable that the sun and the wind are having a bet about who can get this man to take his coat off. And the wind says, I can do it, and he blows so hard, and of course the man just draws the coat tight around him, and then the sun comes out and said, right, now it's my turn. And the sun beams and shines, and it becomes lovely and warm, and the man takes his coat off. And the sort of parable is that when it's nice and warm, when our lives are comfortable and smooth, then the Torah, which is compared to the coat, sometimes we might be quicker to take it off. And the cold wind, the harsh conditions are representative of the suffering and the persecution. And that is sometimes what makes us cling, whether by choice or whether because we're forced to. It makes us cling to our identity, and we're not able to shed that coat, even if we would so want. So I think that when we are given this instruction, and we can actually stand back in the days that remain before the festival of Shavuot and appreciate how learning Torah, how the various aspects of Torah, when we study them, we are transformed. And it's not something that is easy, and it's going to be challenging for people in different ways. You have people who perhaps find academic study difficult, and yet those people, when they slog, when they try, and they will find that vistas open up, and things that they hadn't thought were within their reach become within their reach. And I mentioned that we have just celebrated Lag BaOmer uh, on the earlier part of this week, and Lag BaOmer is often associated with Rabbi Akiva, that although in the negative sense, because it's the day that either the plague or the military campaign, which caused the passing of 24,000 of Rabbi Akiva's students, and according to various opinions, that stopped on Lag BaOmer. So Rabbi Akiva is very strongly connected to Lag BaOmer, and Rabbi Akiva is also the emblem of someone who came to learning very late in his life. He was 40 years old. He was a shepherd who had not really been exposed to Torah study, and he was sitting and watching a water dropping on a rock, and making a channel in that rock. And he says from that, if water, which is so soft, can penetrate the rock, which is so hard, then even I, who is at an advanced age, and I'm like this rock, the water of Torah is compared to water, that is going to be able to soften and make channels in me. And he then started learning and became the illustrious sage that we are still learning from. And it is very unique that when you think of our Torah greats, our sages. So, for example, Rashi, we often quote or use Rashi as a platform in these talks, and we will say Rashi says. We use it in the present tense. We don't say Rashi said, and it's as if Rashi is here with us, and so many of the other commentaries as well that bring different perspectives to the sort of the words of the Torah. There's like a diamond of infinite facets that we are learning from them, and they are with us now. And this is so unique to the Torah, and it is something that in our own way, when we make the time and space in our lives, in our heads, then we are able to go beyond what we thought we were capable of and use Rabbi Akiva as our example. And also the fact that when we start off, when we read these first 13 verses in the Sedra of Bechukotai, and they are talking about the physical blessings, really, of time of physical plenty, and all the blessings seem to be very much focusing on physical aspects. And we might question that if you're going to be so steeped in the Torah, then surely you would expect spiritual rewards. And so what are we meant to learn from the fact that the rewards that are promised to us when we observe the Torah and follow in Hashem's ways, that we are going to have these physical material benefits? And the Lubavitcher Rebbe comments that we should never think that the Torah is limited to the spiritual. The Torah is teaching us to combine the physical aspects of our life and the spiritual aspects of our life. And so therefore, the fact that the blessings are physical blessings, that is really, the Torah is underscoring the counterintuitive aspect that it's not only spiritual. We would expect to be spiritually uplifted by the study of the Torah, but we are actually going to have the physical benefits as well. And that is because the Torah is this complete whole, and it is a way of, for the duration of our physical lives, that we have material blessings and we are elevated spiritually. And this is also something that is unusual, because very often when there is a time of material plenty, that is often associated with corruption and with different kinds of challenges. Yet when we follow the Torah path, when we have the values of the Torah, when we realize that anything material might be something that we benefit from for our physical lives, but that is never going to be the be and end. When we have that kind of attitude, then we don't have to be corrupted by the material blessings. And so this is the way that we are able to navigate and take the lessons and the messages from the Lag BaOmer festival, mini festival that we just celebrated, going towards Shavuos, appreciating the centrality of Torah study in our lives, and realizing that the blessings and the rebuke that we read about in this week's Sedra are all part of a whole, and we are able to get the inspiration that we need for this time of year to really become fitting recipients of the Torah that, please God, we will receive in a few weeks' time in the festival of Shavuos. Wishing everybody Shabbat Shalom.